Straight talk from Israel. You're listening to Israel News Talk Radio.
It used to be hard to make Aliyah or to move to Israel. It's getting even harder now. So why wait till it gets even harder? I'm going to be talking about moving to Israel. In fact, Israel News Talk Radio is going to be adding 2 new shows to its lineup, and they're both going to be about moving to Israel in an inspirational way, in a historic way, in a practical way. Each show is going to be coming to this topic from its own angle. It's very exciting because we are here to serve. Israel is expecting close to 100,000 Olim or new immigrants coming from North America this next year. And who knows, when the November elections come around, there might be even a bigger surprise influx than they were even predicting then. We're going to be talking about that on the show today. Feel free to call in. This is a live show if you're listening in on Tuesday morning here in Israel at 7 a.m. or if it's between midnight to 1 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time. That means that we are live and you can call in. You can join me on the show. You can also come into the chat room and say hello to me. Hi there, Frank and Leslie and JR, etc., people from all over. And I want to tell you that we are able to bring you these shows and let you join us on the air and call in and bring you news from Israel. All of these things because of our supporters, people like you who love the station, who are listening in, and who are hungry from news from Israel and want to connect with us in a way that reading a news article on your favorite website is never going to connect you. Not when you have show hosts who are speaking with you and inviting you on the air and writing you back and forth personally. You're just not going to get that with a print news source. So go to our webpage at israelnewstalkradio.com and click on the donate button and the partner with us button, and feel free to partner with us really in this big mitzvah and this big quest that we're doing in order to be able to give information from Israel to the world, whoever you are, for free. So help support us. All right, we'll be right back.
G'day, I'm Jono Vandor.
And I'm Ross Nichols.
Join us on our program, Israel on My Mind, a show that broadcasts all the weekly goodness that flows like milk and honey from the Holy Land straight into your ears with humorous and happy news stories.
New shows are posted every Thursday at 7 p.m. Israel time, highlighting the lighter side and advancing a positive view of Israel here on Israel News Talk Radio.
You know, people move to Israel for different reasons. Sometimes it's for ideology. Sometimes it's for financial necessity or just opportunity. It's just maybe the economy in your country crashed, or you're coming from a communist country or from a very, very poor third world country like Yemen or even Ethiopia, and it's better here. Or you're even running for your lives. It's just going to be better here politically. You're running from anti-Semitism. You're running for your lives. I came to Israel back in the 1970s. I've been here a long time. And I came here during what we say Kol Tuv. Everything was wonderful for me in the United States. I lived in a country that was wealthy. It was a wealthy Western country, and it was a happy Western country. And I wasn't running from anything. I was going to where my heart was. I wanted to be with my people and my nation and in my land. And I could go back to the States and I could visit and I can appreciate the States and talk so well about it because America is a wonderful country. It's not turning out that way right now, unfortunately. So much turmoil and terrible things we're seeing going on there. But I want to say I came here out of ideology, and the longer I believe the longer you wait, the more difficult it's going to be. You see, because when you come during the good times, you can sell your house, you can sell your car, your possessions, you can take that money, you can transfer it over to Israel with calmness, without running, and build your new life here. However, when you are running from anti-Semitism or running from a very bad political situation where a lot of other people are starting to want to get out at the same time, it's going to be more hectic. It's going to be quicker, so less planning, and it's going to be more difficult. That doesn't mean that it's bad or it's wrong. It just means that it's going to be more difficult. I always like to compare, as an example, having children. Being pregnant is difficult. You swell up, you're heavy, you might have nausea, and then you have to go through childbirth, and it's very, very painful childbirth. But is it bad? Of course not. Is it difficult? Of course it is. Again, is it bad? Of course not. It's a wonderful thing to be pregnant and to have children. It is a blessing. And so it is a blessing to be able to move to Israel, because not everybody can. And if we Jews look back in our past and we think about our ancestors who would have given everything to be able to leave the countries that they were in that were abusing them and had anti-Semitism and had pogroms and killed us and robbed us and kept us in squalor and didn't let us go to universities, didn't let us own certain businesses. Do you know there were quotas how many Jews, if at all, could go to a university and get a higher education? And that's why Jews were forced to go into business. Do you know that Jews weren't allowed to be landowners? And this is how our ancestors had to live, and they didn't have an Israel to go to. And with all his flaws, they didn't have a Netanyahu as a prime minister who was respected by the world, by the biggest people in the world. I mean, look at this man. Again, he has his flaws. I am not painting Prime Minister Netanyahu as any tzaddik or righteous saint. He's done many things that I disagree with. However, he's the best we have at this time. And look who puts their pride, or I should say their respect and friendship in. He is friends both with U.S. President Donald Trump, one of the strongest men in the world, and Vladimir Putin from Russia, another one of the strongest men in the world. Both of these men put confidence in him. In fact, I hear from other people that when these two big leaders need to speak to each other for whatever reason in order to make some type of cooperation between countries and they don't want to meet, they will, again, I don't know if this is true, but this is what I hear, that they will send a message to their friend Bibi and Bibi will send the message to the other. So they don't have to meet. They can also do it through their own channels. But sometimes things in confidence that are better left in confidence. I mean, look at these people that are respect Israel and are in awe of Israel. And you have the privilege and the ability to be able to come now to Israel, something that our ancestors were not allowed to do or couldn't do because there was no Israel. And you get to come not by walking through a desert, through Somalia, through the Sudan, and dying in the desert like our brothers and sisters in Ethiopia or in Yemen, who will only be able to come here barefoot. You get to come today because you're blessed, even if you don't realize it, on the wings of eagles, just as it says in the Bible, that our prophets say that the Jewish people will be gathered from the four corners of the earth on the wings of eagles. My friends, what do you think the wings of eagles is? Airplanes. You don't have to walk through deserts and be attacked by marauders and be killed and raped on the way and robbed. You get on a "Please board the plane. Please, passengers may now board the plane." In your air conditioning, with your suitcases and luggage, with smiles on your face. But yet even that isn't a promise, because even right now, it is not so easy to get on a plane and come to Israel because of the times that we're in. And this is another reason why I say it's getting harder to come and make Aliyah. That the skies are closed in many instances due to the coronavirus that the entire world is experiencing. So when people think, I'll make Aliyah when another year my kids are graduating from high school, so we'll wait another year, or I have another year until I finish my degree, or, whatever reasons that you have, whatever the reasons are. Could you imagine if those were the reasons, and they were, that our ancestors in World War II Europe used before they left? They said, well, why should we leave now? Hitler, wars come, wars go. We've survived them all. If Hitler gets into our country, the war will be over soon. Who could imagine? Who could imagine what was waiting for them? Because they didn't get out, because they only had one more year of university, because they only had one more year until their kids graduated high school, or another year until this, or another year until that. History waits for no one. And when that train stops at your station, and that train is there now, you've got to make it. You've got to get on that train. Otherwise, God forbid, it could be too late. And is Tamar being an alarmist? My friends, I am ringing the bell. Yes, I am. Because your houses are on fire. You just don't know it yet. And let me say this. Let me just put in a word here for ideology and not being an alarmist. Not telling you to get out because it's the safest and best thing for you. But when the Jewish people were leaving Egypt with Moses, it says that only 1/5 of the Jewish people left. 4/5 stayed behind in Egypt. They died there. Who were the people who wanted to leave Egypt, where their parents and grandparents were buried? Yes, they were slaves, but they knew it. And sometimes when things happen slowly, you get used to that life. And it was a difficult life, but now things were getting better. Moses had all these plagues with God coming, and the Egyptians were easing up a bit, and now they're letting us out. But who wants to give up everything, the onions, the garlic, everything that the Jews complained about that they didn't have in the desert, to follow some old man into the desert to who knows where, the promised land? What's that? Who are those people that were going to drop everything and leave and go out with Moses? And they were only the people, only the Jews that said, I don't know if life in the promised land is going to be easy or hard, difficult or challenging or wonderful. I don't know how it's going to be. All I know is I want to entwine my destiny with my people. I want to be with my nation, with my people in my land. So whether it's going to be easy or hard, I don't know, but that's where I want to be, with my people in my land. And those were the people that left Egypt. And I'm asking you to leave your Egypt today, which is so much easier. So much easier than when it was even when we were with Moses. It's even easier now. We'll be right back.
Hi, everyone. This is Andrea Simento from Jerusalem, inviting you to drop everything and join me on my show, Pull Up a Chair. We'll visit this week's quirky stories, meet fabulous guests, and discover my Israel. Together, we'll laugh, shout, and explain the topics that make us say, hey, we've got to talk about that. So get comfortable and pull up a chair with me, Andrea Simento, every Thursday on Israel News Talk Radio.
Hidden treasures in the Hebrew Bible?
Then join me, Rav Yitzhak Michelson,
And me, William Hall,
on the Science of Kabbalah, where we are seeking to narrow the gap between what we understand of our physical and spiritual worlds. So make sure to tune in every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Israel time, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, here on Israel News Talk Radio.
All right, we're back here at the Tamar, Yonah Show on IsraelNewsTalkRadio.com, and we're talking today about making Aliyah, moving to Israel, looking at history, looking at the news headlines, seeing as difficult as it is today, it is so much easier, just like never before. Let's go to a call. We have a Frank joining us from the Netherlands. Shalom, Frank.
Good morning. I was smiling this morning when I saw on Arutz Sheva, just to confirm everything you say. I was seeing a scene that on Jerusalem, a 13-year-old girl carriage with a baby in it. Maybe you saw the message. There's a video that she got a ticket from 2 officers because of not wearing a mask.
Yes.
And now that's the difference with the world, you know. Immediately bystanders came and talked and talked and talked. The girl was crying, but in Israel everything goes different. You know, there was compassion, there was like all one big family, because I saw 2 months ago the same scene in Germany. Also, a girl walks, or a mother with a carriage, and the police brutally took away even the baby and the carriage from her, and she just was left in agony. And I said, that's the difference. That's Israel. Things like that don't happen there. You know, it's one big family. Everybody immediately, they don't start to film it with their cell phones. No, they pass by and say, what's going on, and they help on the streets. I've been experiencing it for 5 years. That's the big difference, and that's the only place. I try to say Israel is different from the world. It's all, of course, it's better to go there. You have a life there. In the world, you don't. I can say that as a non-Jew.
Now, Frank, I've met you before when you came to Israel on a tour once, and I want to ask you, as somebody who's not Jewish, who lives in Holland, in the Netherlands, and has come here to Israel a few times. You've been here. What is your favorite thing about Israel, and why would you tell? Besides, you know, your whole idea of Israel's one big family, because there are fights in families too. Okay, but what would be the most inspiring thing that you've experienced here in Israel, and why would you tell Jews to come?
Well, the biggest difference is what I've seen. I came quite secular to Israel. I lived there from 80 to 85, and I came to know the God of Israel, and everything is different. So whatever happens, there is always a God watching over you. There's always watching a God, and whatever Netanyahu does, it doesn't matter. There is hope for you people in Israel. that's the big difference I experienced all along. I didn't do a tourist 5 years. I worked everywhere, talked to everybody. I just experienced there's something totally different with Israel. I've been to a lot of places. And even as a non-Jew, they were the best 5 years of my life almost. It's to experience the people. But because of the biggest thing is, of course, God cares about you there. I don't say he cares, he doesn't care about, but right as you say, it's getting difficult. I told you about synagogues, about in Holland, restaurants get beaten up. People standing by, do nothing, or even film it. And in Israel, things are different. I've seen it this morning with what happened on the streets. And by the way, you don't have these BLM protests getting violent because Israel police they do nothing else than keeping riots under control. So they have much better experience to protect you.
Okay, but what was your most inspiring thing that you want to share with us about making Aliyah? Instead of looking at the negative about, what's happening now with Corona and the masks and police and all these things, what was, what touched your soul?
Your God, Bible, everything is coming through what's been written there. So you can't be enough of an alarmist in my eyes.
I can't be enough of an alarmist. That's what you're saying.
No, because there is no Oscar Schindler to help, like in the second to get you home or escape. You are the one who's warning them now. You have to do it. If I was one bit of Jewish, a long time ago in Israel, saying as a non-Jew, I am inspired by your Bible, by your God, and the promises, everything with it, and it's coming true now. Like you said, on wings of eagles.
Wow.
I experienced that here in Holland too, because everything is closing up. The big difference also is Netanyahu. He put just the emergency law now. So restrictions on everybody, well, in Holland too, but it's a total different case because our rights are taken away permanently. In Israel, it's only temporary.
Why do you say that your rights are being taken away permanently, Frank?
Because there is no sight of no hope for that it ever changed. Because the new normal. I don't even watch the Dutch news anymore, really, because it's propaganda. It is. They keep the EU. Let's put it bigger. They're just keeping us in here.
I missed that. The EU is what?
Keeping here as prisoners. They like it this way, that you can't go there. You'll be checked everywhere.
And why do you think that in Israel it's only temporary?
Because God rules. He won't let that happen. Like some pastor ever said, that he didn't bring all the Jews to Israel after 48, just to get slaughtered. There is a purpose. You have to come. And there was also something in the Bible like they send fishers, what you're still doing, and then the hunters come. Well, I think it's taken into action at this moment.
You know what? I'm going to launch off of what you said, Frank, and thank you very much for your call. That you're saying that. Thanks for your call, Frank. Thank you for calling in. That God, didn't bring us a new modern state of Israel in 1948 just to have us all slaughtered, and of course that's true. And I want to say this also, that God didn't perform all the miracles that we saw, the 10 plagues. He hasn't done any miracles like that for any other nation in the entire world. Why did he do it? Why did he take us out of slavery to bring us into Israel? And the reason is because we, like Frank said, we have a purpose here. We have a job to do. He wanted to give us the Torah and be a light into the world. And he did not bring us into Israel to be a Hebrew-speaking Portugal, to be like every other nation, just that we speak Hebrew and we eat latkes and matzo balls. That's not why he performed all these miracles. That's not why he performed the miracle of giving us a state again after 2,000 years to give us sovereignty here in the land of Israel. So there is a purpose here, just like Frank said. And the purpose also isn't to sit in the flesh pots of North America. It's a very wonderful, or it has been a very wonderful, comfortable life there. I came from it as well. But history is moving on, and you need to make that train. God forbid, I want to say here, with the time that I have left in this segment, that whatever happens in November with the elections, those of you who think that, oh my gosh, we've got to get these anarchists out, we've got to save the United States of America so we can have our lives back, so we can go back to quote unquote normal, it's not going to happen. I believe, this is my opinion, you can agree, you can disagree, feel free to call in and do so. I believe that the reason that we are experiencing all of this is because God has a plan. And, you know, they say man plans, but God laughs. Man proposes, but God disposes. It doesn't go to what you and I want. It goes according to God's plan. And things need to change. And he's doing that through, I believe, this coronavirus and through what's happening around the world, because it's not just a turmoil in America. If you watch other news agencies that are not CNN and the regular mainstream media, you go to other medias around the world, you're going to see what's happening in China, in India, in Hong Kong, in Africa, in Asia, etc. And and South America. There's turmoil there as well. People all over are rising up for this reason or that reason. And the Jewish people, unfortunately, always get caught up in this, because whenever there's been a pandemic in history, it's always been the Jews that were blamed. Always, for whatever reason. Whenever there's been a financial crisis in a country, it's always been the Jews that were blamed. And I don't believe it's going to be any different in the United States or in Canada or in Australia or in any Western country or any country at all. That they're going to eventually come for the Jews. And where are the police going to be to protect you, my brothers and sisters? When they're not even protecting these high-end stores that have been paying huge taxes to be in the city center of Seattle and New York and Los Angeles, and they weren't there for them, why do you think they're going to risk their lives or be there for you? Either they'll be under orders not to do anything, to let people air out their grievances, and it's happened before, and it's happened before in the United States when there were the riots in New York. And for 2 days, police didn't come, and a Jewish man was killed because the mayor said, let the people air off some steam. It's too hot to go in there right now. Let them air off some steam, and then we'll go in and put in law and order. But by then, it was too late. What's going to happen by you? Don't let it be too late for you. We'll be right back.
Leap of Faith with Penina Taylor.
We live in the age of information, but not inspiration. If you're like me, you're looking to be inspired to reach higher, to connect more, and to grow. Well, if you want to get warm, you need to stand close to the fire. And if you want to catch fire, you need to stand close enough to get hit by the sparks. Join me, Penina Taylor, as we walk with people who have embarked on a spiritual journey towards Torah. We'll uncover what started them on their journey and what truths they discovered along the way. So prepare to be inspired as we take a leap of faith every Sunday at 5 p.m. on Israel News Talk Radio.
You know, as bad and dangerous as it is in certain pockets of the United States right now with the protesters and the agenda of the BLM and the fierce moves and dying death throes of the left, the Democratic Party and the left there, I think it's going to get a lot worse come this November, even if Donald Trump wins the elections. Even if he wins, there, I believe, are going to be even more demonstrations because the left is not going to take this lying down. They're not going to accept the results. So let me put it this way. If Trump loses and the left takes over, the Democratic Party and the BLMs and the anarchists and the Antifas and the Nancy Pelosi's who kneel down to other people, unbelievable, you know? First of all, I want to ask you Jews, what are you going to do if a bunch of people surround you and tell you to kneel, to take the knee, and kneel to another person? What are you going to do, being a Jew who is forbidden to kneel down to idols and to do things like this? What are you going to do? What are you going to do if your kid is in school or just going to the store and on the way home he gets surrounded and he's forced to take a knee? He's forced to kneel down to another human being. And even if he isn't, or even if you're not, is this the type of society that you want to raise your children in and have your grandchildren be raised in? Come November, whatever the results are, if the Democrats win, I believe the United States of America as we knew it is over. Your freedom's over. It's going to go socialist, communist. And if they lose and Trump wins, wait for the burning down of your buildings, your cities, your homes, because they're not going to take this lying down. Because we've already seen what they're doing. We've already seen what they've done to businesses. We've already seen what they've done to things that they are not going to accept. They have to air out their frustrations. They have to take over city blocks. I mean, what is it going to be if one day you wake up in the morning and all of a sudden you find yourself in a CHOP, a Capitol Hill, or I should say that the Chaz, autonomous zone. You wake one day, you go to sleep, and then next morning you wake up, and now your neighborhood happens to be inside of an autonomous zone that the leftists put up while you were sleeping. Go try to sell your house and make Aliyah to Israel then. What are you going to do? Why are you waiting? As I say in almost every show when I talk about Aliyah, God is not going to send you a telegram. You're not going to get a knock on your door saying, Mr. and Mrs. Shapiro, it's time to leave. God, signed God. You're seeing the telegrams arriving every day in your inbox, on your newspapers, in your social media. This is your telegram. They're already writing articles now before the election that Trump is not going to let go of power. Let me read to you from the independent.co.uk. This is already in the United Kingdom that they're writing. Let me just give you the article in case you want to go to and read it, and also to give them credit. Trump has a plan to stay in the White House if he loses election, former senator says. That's the title. If you didn't get it, go back, listen to the podcast so you can look it up. And they're saying here that the former Democratic senator who they're quoting from here, he's from Colorado, Tim Worth, I think it is. No, he's the one who published the article. But in any case, they're saying here, the former Democratic senator begins with an allegation that Mr. Trump will attempt to retain power through voter suppression. Mr. Worth alleges there is a strategy to suppress voter turnout by purging voters, especially inner-city voters, from registration rolls and to suppress mail-in voting. He also believes physical polling stations locations will be limited, especially in urban areas. This is where all the Democrats are, right? In an effort to create long lines on Election Day and discourage voting. This is what they're saying. They're also go on to say here that the Mr. Worth's theory about Mr. Trump trying to retain power following the 2020 U.S. election doesn't end at the ballot box. He believes that should the president lose, he will claim the vote was rigged and rely on a complicated gambit involving emergency powers and the compliance of Republican legislators to stay in the White House. Folks, do you see what's already happening before it's happened? They're already setting up the scenario where they're saying that Trump is going to cheat. He's going to try to rig the elections. He's going to make it hard for people to vote. He's going to stop all of these things. And then if he loses, he's going to make up excuses why he shouldn't leave, why he really did win, even though he didn't win. By the way, he might even be right, Trump, because the elections might be rigged in favor of the Democrats. And the Democrats are saying it might be rigged in favor of the Republicans. And the Republicans are no angels either, perhaps. Who knows? In any scenario, it's not going to be good for America, and it's certainly not going to be good for the Jewish people. And the longer you wait, the harder, I believe, it is going to be to sell your home and to be able to get on an airline that's still in business and to be able to get into Israel. Right now, if you are a Jew and you are wanting to come to Israel and you're not an Israeli citizen, guess what? You can't come. Israel won't let you in. Forget about America. Israel will not let you in if you are not an Israeli citizen, because we are under the throes of the coronavirus here as well. And in order to control things as best as possible, and Israel's doing a darn good job, whether we like the tactics they're using or not, we've had under 350 people die out of a population of approximately 9 million people. Only less than 350 people have died. They're not letting you into the country. The only people allowed into Israel today are A, returning Israelis, or B, Olim, new immigrants. The only way you can come is if you go through Nefesh B'Nefesh. I'll give you the website, www.nbn, november.org.il. Go there now and fill out the papers. It takes a long time to be able to fill out all those papers and put in all the documents that you need in order to make Aliyah. And also lots of government offices that you're going to need apostles from and proof of certificates, etc. Lots of them are even closed today all over the world because of the coronavirus. And you can't even get these things if the office isn't open. So it could take months and months and months. So you've got to start the process now. And no one's going to put a gun to your head and make you board a plane to Israel. If you figure out in another few months, let's say you're able to go and you're accepted to be a new immigrant, no one's going to put a gun to your head to make you get on that plane and come to Israel. If you say, wait a second, you know what? I think I jumped the gun too soon. I know I got everything ready. I know I was accepted, but you know what? I think I better take a flight a little further down the road. I'm not ready yet to go. No one's going to make you get on that plane. So do it now. Always maximize your options. Don't be stuck in your golden cage, which is not going to be golden for long. I want to repeat this again. Whatever happens in November, it's not going to be good. Because if the left wins, it's not going to be good. And if the left loses, it's not going to be good. Expect a lot of rioting and more businesses taking over and more autonomous zones. They're even saying that some states will refuse to start to keep paying their federal taxes. And if that happens, it's as if it's secession from the nation. What are you going to do if you find yourself living in a state that decides to secede? How are you going to get documents then from Washington? You have to get a form from the FBI to show that you don't have a criminal record. How are you going to get these things if places are defunded, if the government's not functioning right? What are you waiting for, my friends? What are you waiting for? Start the process now. Again, nobody is going to put a gun to your head to leave your house and sell, but start the paperwork now. Nefesh B'Nefesh is the organization that handles immigration to Israel from North America. If you're listening in from the UK or from Australia or other places, contact the Jewish agency or your consulate or embassy to find out how to be able to immigrate to Israel. If you're in North America, Nefesh B'Nefesh, www.nbn.org.il. If you have a wife or a spouse who is hesitating, contact me, email me. I'll give you some tips on how to get them on board, how to help get them on board, hopefully. But hopefully they'll do it themselves. But write me, Tamar at IsraelNewsTalkRadio.com or info@IsraelNewsTalkRadio.com. Your house is on fire. Come home now. It's not going to be good. Thanks for being with us.
If you love Israel News Talk Radio, then you'll love our Facebook page. We keep you up to date on what's happening in Israel, plus little surprise treasures that we don't share on the radio. Go now to follow us on Facebook. Just look for the Israel News Talk Radio Facebook page, and don't forget to subscribe and follow us by clicking on the like button. We post great stuff there that you'll want to share. Israel News Talk Radio on Facebook and Israel News Radio on Twitter.
If you're hearing this message, everyone else can too. Advertise with Israel News Talk Radio and get your message out to people. We'll build a personalized package for you. Contact advertising at IsraelNewsTalkRadio.com.
Straight talk from Israel. You're listening to Israel News Talk Radio.
Hey, this is Jake in Anchorage, Alaska, and I love listening to all the super interesting interviews and up-to-date information on what's happening in Israel.
Hello, this is Anna King, originally from London, now living in Israel. And what can I say? Israel News Talk Radio is my cup of tea.
My name is Bhaskar. I'm from India, and I love listening because you get to know the truth and wonderful voices from this lovely country.
Mom! Okay, wait a minute. Hi, this is Chava Dax, and I'm calling from the rolling hills of Ma'ale Adumim, just north of Jerusalem. I always listen to Israel News Talk Radio to get all the latest news and commentary and to keep me up to date every day.
This is Sarah Dax from Ma'ale Adumim, and I'm 12. I wish Israel News Talk Radio was boring so my mom wouldn't listen to it all the time. Mom!
You're listening to Israel News Talk Radio.
News, opinion, and more. You're listening to Israel News Talk Radio.